Hi de Gallo. Alright, this is going to be one of many videos out of this book. This is probably one of the my favorite things that I own. Um, you're going to have to bury me with this, and I'm not even joking. Um, so let's jump into one of the stories. I'll do a video about the book itself, but I want to get into one of the stories because upon the first read through it, it's my favorite one. So let's jump in. Alright, so give a little background on what's going on. The funny thing about this book is these are all kind of funny stories. You're getting a pretty good shot at Alex Toth's humor. He's kind of a legendary grump, but here he's all these stories are really fun and funny, all really good stuff. Now, to start off, motor stories. So this guy right here, it's almost this setup where it's like the Crypt Keeper or Elvira kind of this hot rod monster guy introducing every story, and it's like, oh, here's a tale of da da da, and the same thing. So motor story here, the hero of the story is quote the old mill. Now that's not the beast or a physical mill. The idea what it probably references a machine process by which you grind metal and clean up the block. If you know anything about motors, you bore and deck the motor. You line hone. There's a bunch of processes, but probably back. This is an older term, maybe because this story's from the early '60s. The idea that it's all the machine work. So the idea that there's this old mill, this thing that needs to be machined. It's a story about it, but really, what the story about is dying as a hero. So that's kind of the cool thing. So the story is there's this old block in a junkyard, and he's sad. And he talks about starting out on the line in Detroit, brand new shiny, got put in a '55 Chevy, and then barely out of the factory, a really bad wreck, got totaled, and there he's just sitting all by himself until some hot rodder, hey sir, what do you want for that block? And so he puts it in the hot rod, grabs it. There's his hot rod taking it for his dragster, puts a blower on it, all this heavy stuff, and it talks about how great life was, how great life was. He's winning all these races and all this. This is amazing. I could probably talk craft and reference for Toth for hours on end, and this is all. There's a version of Screen Tone called um, oh boy, it's left me. They don't make it anymore. It's basically where you put chemicals over it and you get these lines. The guys that probably did it a little bit more contemporarily are the early Turtles comics before they got rid of it. They don't make it anymore, but it's this really neat stuff. If you ever can get a hold of it, Duo Shade. There we go, Duo Shade. It left me. But all these are shaded with Duo Shade. There's a little bit of Zipatone in here, but mostly Duo Shade or Duotone. And look how great this is. The Dragster going off, and just really good stories. So I could talk all that stuff all day long. I more want to talk about the story, as I'll probably talk about all these more than once. But what a great picture right here. And so what happens next is he blows up, kaboom, blows up because he got run too hard, and boop, and then here he ends up back in the junkyard. But the idea is that his life was better for the existence as a dragster, and he, went out a hero. And so that's kind of a cool thing, man. As a guy who's a hot rodder, you put so much time and effort into motors and cars and all this stuff. So my hot rod is a '68 Impala. I got it in high school before the prices on everything went crazy. I got it just for a couple $1,000, and the reason why I got it is I worked at a fast food restaurant, the one, for 6 of the longest months of my life, saved up money for it, and got a loan and bought this, bought my hot rod, and we've had several different motors on it, but I'm the one that has worked on all of them, and the latest one we have in there is a 383. Me and Pops put it in, And the idea is that there's something about that. You put the time in, put the motor together, put it in the car, tune it up, work on it, drive it, and there's this really great feeling that you put all the work into this go machine, and and you kind of get attached to that stuff because man, those blocks. I mean, they're kind of rough, man. I've literally bled on that thing, got burnt by it. You get beat up, you get all this other stuff, but it's like you're fighting together with it, and yeah, you get attached to it. And so I always think about the way I think about motors, um, almost like if you went to some livestock place and they have like a statue of a giant horse or a bull or something. I don't know why I know this, but there's a couple famous rodeo bulls. One is Yellow Jacket, and the other one is something else. One was this gigantic bull that nobody, I don't think very many guys had ever rode him to 8 seconds. He was so aggressive that when he was in the stall one time, he kicked and he broke his leg. But he's a super legendary bull. And then the other bull was this tiny. He was a really was a small bull, but he was super athletic, and he would spin around so much that hardly anybody could ride him. Two of these really great bulls. But I bet if you go to those farms where these legendary bulls were, there's statues of these bulls outside of the farms. It's like, yes, we're the breeder that produced that amazing animal. And so it's the same thing with these motors, man. I got a 283 that I want to put in my Impala. I want to put super deep gears in the car. 283, wind at 7, 8, 9, 10 grand. And if it goes, well, he's gonna go a hero, man. We'll put him up out in the yard as yard art, man. That was every time I look at it, I'll smile. And so yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why this is one of my favorite stories. Literally, one, two, three, four, five, six, not a ton of panels on here, and it's just a really good story, man. And so, yeah, yeah, motors are cool, buddy. So again, all the detail and all the art and amazing things you could want from Toth, but also a pretty cool story. So until next time, read more Toth. Boop.